welcome back to the Chronically Awesome podcast. So last week I just gave you sort of a little rundown of how I was feeling lost and unmotivated, and I was just gonna kind of weekly share things with you guys and get things off my chest or things that I have been discovering as I've been going along. And the funny thing is, I was saying how talking is like my therapy, and I posted that podcast last week, and then the next day I was like, I feel like I could do this. I'm feeling more motivated now. I've got an idea. I know where I would like to go now. And it was just like talking, just that sort of 16 minute episode helped massively for myself in just clearing stuff out of my brain, out of my mind, getting things off my chest. And I find it's because when I'm talking to a mic, it's just, there's no one here. There's no one to judge me. I don't even have to put it out if I don't want to. It's just a space for me to kind of rant. But I also want it to be more than just me ranting. I want it to be something that if someone is listening, they're like, yeah, I understand this. Yeah, that's where I am. Or, I haven't thought of it that way. That's helpful. I just want a little bit of and sprinkles and sparkles into people's lives. So it was my birthday. It was my birthday on Sunday, the 1st of October. Last year, I was at a retreat and I was asked to do a sound bath, and it was amazing. It was absolutely brilliant for 30 odd people. Best sound bath I've ever done in my life. It was truly amazing. This year, my husband agreed to go away, which is unheard of. It truly is. And he even agreed to 2 nights away. So I was like, I'm going to book somewhere special. And I did. I found this beautiful, it looked like a log cabin, but it floated. It was called a houseboat. And it was literally on this lake or pond. I don't actually know the difference between a lake or a pond. But it was amazing. It was so cool. However, there was no TV, no Wi-Fi, no phone signal, which I'm fine with. I can get by with that. It doesn't bother me. My husband, on the other hand, not such a fan. So when we went out to the pub, there was free Wi-Fi, so I downloaded some things so he could watch stuff on his phone. Because that's the loving, caring wife that I am. But it was good to get away. I needed just to stop. And it was good. I've been scrolling a lot less on social media anyway, but it was good to just having to stop entirely, completely, utterly. And it was so good. And I just spent my time watching outside, there was moorhens there, and there was baby moorhens that became my friends. I named them. There was Mindy, Mandy, Mick, Mike, and Monty, but we realised that Monty was a girl, but then we couldn't think of another name, so we just kept Monty. And then there was also, I think you call it a grebe or something, from the bird book that we found there. And I named him Speedy Gonzales because he kept running across the water, and I was just amazed. And I was just in this complete state of awe. It was so amazing. I even seen a kingfisher. My husband doesn't believe me, and it was actually called Kingfisher Houseboat. But I was like, that was a kingfisher. He was like, no, it's not. There won't be one around here. And I was like, I'm telling you now, it was a kingfisher. I was like, it was blue, small, and it was flying away from me. He still wasn't having it. I think he was just jealous because he didn't see it. But yeah, it was good. It was so good. I even faced a fear as well. So when I was younger than 8, and I don't know, we did a venture day, and it was all these different things that we did, and we did kayaking or something like that. And all I remember is just the full-on fear and the crying that took place. And I've never been in a kayak or a canoe or a paddleboard ever since. And I have this thing in my head where I'm like, yeah, I'm so that person to go paddleboarding. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be amazing. Oh yeah, canoe. Yeah, I want to go in a canoe. In my head, I'm fucking brilliant. I'm amazing. I am just on top of the world, This place had a canoe, and it's you can use it at your leisure. And I was like, brilliant, I'm going to do that. I tried getting Lee to go in. He doesn't do water, so he was like, absolutely not. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it. He just looked at me and said, no, you won't. I was like, yeah, by the time we leave, I am going to do it. So on the second day, I was like, right, it stopped raining. I was like, I'm going to do it. So I just put like a t-shirt on. I was like, because I'm bound to fall in. So I was like, let's just go out on a t-shirt just in case. And I didn't take my phone because I was like, absolutely not. And then it was all tied up on the side. I put one foot in and I was like, oh my God, I don't think I can do this. And my husband Lee was just like, oh my God, you're not even going to get in. And I was like, oh, just hold my hand. I'll be fine. A minute later of him holding my hand with one foot in the canoe, one foot on the decking. And I was like, I can't. He's like, it literally can't go anywhere. It's tied up. Just get in. So I eventually got in. And I sat there and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I haven't even gone anywhere. I'm still tied up. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be amazing. I'm so cool. Look at me. I'm so cool. And then he started undoing the rope. And I was like, excuse me, what are you doing? He was like, well, you need to go. I was like, I know, but I'm not prepared for this. And eventually he unties it all. And I was like, don't let go. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, just don't let go of the rope yet. Because I'm like rocking side to side and I'm like having little mini panic attacks every like 3 seconds. And he was like, well, I can't just hold you the whole time. I was like, yeah, just walk down the decking. Just keep hold of it until I get used to it. So he did. He held it while I was like trying to figure out how to even bloody row, you know? I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he knew what to do. He told me how to like turn it this way, turn it that way, and then that'll help you turn around the corners. I was like, how do you know this if you don't like water? But he had gone whitewater rafting or something once, and now he apparently is an expert. He's an absolute professional. And I'm like trying my hardest, my stomach muscles, the tension, you know, I was holding on tight. I was so like tense. It was ridiculous. And then, you know, like my friends Mindy, Mandy, Mike and Mick came as well for a little swim around. But yeah, I was nearly crying at one point. You know, when you're just like, you're so stressed, so tense, it's something you really want to do, the fear's running through you and you're like, I'm having a great time, and then there's like these tears that are coming into your eyes and you're just like yeah, I'm fine, I'm fine. It was very much like that until eventually my husband, I saw him tying, so he had the rope in his hand and I seen him just kind of like putting it together instead of it being fully out, and I was like, what are you doing? And he just got it together and he just threw it into the canoe, and I was like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Yes, I am dramatic. I am. I think it would have made a really good documentary, you know? It would have been brilliant to have watched it. So then, there was, I don't know, what do you call them? Oh God, what do you call them? You know those rings, and they're like orange, and you throw them into people that are like in the sea and they're drowning and they need help and they need to hold on to something. I cannot for the life of me think of what they're called. Anyway, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So Lee was joking. He was like, oh, do you want to take one of these with you just in case you fall in? I looked him dead in the eye and I was like, oh my God, yes, what a great idea. So I put it in. I was like, mate, if I fall in, I need something because I will panic. The lake's fine. You know, the clear water part. Well, it wasn't clear water. It was like fully dirty, muddy. You can't see underneath the water at all. But like, you know, there was nothing else but water. But further on is like lily pads sort of things going on. And I was like, if I fall in there, then I will die. Like, there is no way I will survive this because my legs will get tangled up into the, I don't know what you call them, are they roots that's under there? I will get tangled up into that. They will pull me down and I will drown, and that will be the end of it. And this is why I should never go canoeing, because that's what's going in my head all the time. So he couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe I took it. But I did. I took it with me as I made my way around. I did one loop and I was like, that's enough. I was so tense. But at the same time, I was so proud of myself. Beyond proud. Like, I couldn't believe I did it. I was just like, I'm amazing. Pure awesomeness. And I was like, birthday present to myself. Well done, you. So yeah, so it was a really good time away. We had a great time. I just love being in nature. I love being outside. It is so refreshing, rejuvenating. It's just so healing. Like, it's just you can't really describe it because it's such a powerful feeling that unless you just immerse yourself into it, there's not really any words that can really describe that feeling that you get of being connected to something so much bigger than yourself, as well as something so much smaller, when it's like animals that are so much smaller than what you are, and yet they're loving life, you know. Those little, there was ducks there as well, so they're like the ducks and the moorhens just kind of loving life, swimming around here, there and everywhere. And I was just like, yeah, this is great, this is where I need to be, this is beautiful, and I loved it. And so I came home and I just felt so, I felt like an entirely different person. It just felt so much better, uplifted. My energy was like, welcome home, you know, within my own body, not just obviously my house. It was lovely to be home and back in my own bed, brilliant, and have a hot shower rather than a lukewarm one, which also threw Lee when we were away, because he can't do like lukewarm. It has to be piping hot to nearly scalding his skin, you know. And he was like, what the fuck is this shower? I was like, it's fine. So he wasn't happy about that either. But yeah, coming home, it was just like this beautiful energy of feeling awakened, feeling more connected back to myself and what I'm wanting. And I've had this before, where it's like when I take time out and I really start going, what is it that I want? Who am I? Where do I connect the most? And what do I enjoy doing the most in my business and sharing with others? And it always comes to my spiritual side. It's always there, because that was where like my sort of turning point, I suppose, was when I started to connect with a spiritual side of myself, with my own healing, with my own journey, and finding my way back to being whole again. And I always lose it. I always end up losing that spiritual part of myself massively this year. This year, I've been so disconnected from my spiritual self. And I think, it's not I think, I know a massive part of it is because I always feel like I'm going to be judged for it, because it was a part of me that I kind of didn't even know I had for a start. And then when I did discover it, I was like, oh, but this isn't, you know, normal. This isn't what society accepts. And it was hard for me to just be myself in everything that I love that is spiritual. And then I was asking myself while I was out walking with the dog today, because this is when I have my little moments and my aha moments and my moments of, oh, interesting. I don't know where that came from. I do, it's spirit. But like in the moment, I'm like, oh, well, that was random. But it's not random, because it is deeply connected, and obviously my thoughts were there, so I was just receiving like the answers and the information back. But the word, I think, spiritual is what either throws people or even myself. Sometimes it's myself and I use the word spiritual and I just get like my body, I'll notice a reaction in my body where I tense up a bit, or I'm like, oh, that's uncomfortable, because again, I feel like people are going to judge me, and there's all this side that comes out. So then I was like, well, if I didn't use the word spiritual, what word could I use instead to try and just describe the part of yourself that may make you feel more comfortable than using the word spiritual? Because I think when people start thinking of spiritual, they think, oh, that's connecting with either like mediumship maybe, or people, your loved ones, or there's this sense of dancing around the fire naked and banging drums and essential oils and Reiki and things that are not the norm in society. So therefore it's weird, it's uncomfortable to people, it's something that is seen as, oh, well, they're not all there, there's something wrong with them. And it couldn't be further from the truth. And yet that word will always put people on edge who are not used to it, who are not in a world where they were brought up with a spiritual connection. And the thing is, we are spirit. We are mind, we are body, and we are spirit, and it is all connected. You can't be one without the other. Whether you acknowledge it or not, you cannot be you without the spirit of yourself. And when I was kind of asking, like, so what word can I use instead? I had the word to know thyself. There's a phrase, I don't know, I think I'm going to absolutely butcher this, but it goes along the lines of something like, to heal thyself, you must first know yourself. And it couldn't be more true, because you have to know yourself to be able to heal. Because if you don't know yourself, how do you know what you need to heal? Like, how do you know what the problem is? How do you know where it's coming from? Because when you're poorly and there's something that needs healing, and there's something that's an issue, there's something that's a problem, you have the symptoms, yes. So like, oh, my back, or oh, I've got chronic fatigue like I did, or chronic pain, and all these things. It's not the symptom. You don't need to know about the symptom. You need to know where it came from. What is it that caused that to start in the first place? That is how you heal. But to be able to do that, you need to know yourself, which means you need to know your spirit. You need to know who you are. So you need to know thyself. And it's not about the external of like, oh yes, I'm Katie, I am a woman, I am a wife, I have 2 kids. Those are extensions of me. They are essences of me, but they are not the essence of me. They are a part of who I am, but they're not truly any description of who I am. Only I know who I am under the layers that I project into the world and how people perceive me. So this is why you cannot work on yourself without any intention to try and know yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to get right down nitty gritty to the real core of yourself straight away. It's like layers. You peel it off one by one and you start working and you go deeper and deeper. But if you really truly want to transform, or you really want to connect spiritually, and you want to connect maybe to loved ones, or you want to create a connection within yourself, but you don't want to know yourself, and you don't want to actually look at that sort of the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's what makes you up. You are all those parts. So you can't be yourself truly and wholly if you don't actually face all those parts. And it is hard. Yes, absolutely. It is so uncomfortable. It is not an easy place to be, but it doesn't mean you have to dive into the deep end to get anywhere, but you do have to start somewhere. So if you really truly want to heal, and you want to be whole, feel connected truly to yourself and who you are at your core, then you have to actually put in the work. You have to want to look at all aspects of yourself, all dimensions, especially the bad and the ugly, because that is the parts that we avoid. Those are the traumas, those are the coping mechanisms, those are the things that we don't want to look at because we keep pushing them away. Anytime the light shines on it and we're going away from that good feeling or the good parts of ourselves, or that we perceive as good parts of ourselves, anytime we shine that away and we start looking at any bad bits about ourselves, or what we equate to be bad bits, or the ugly parts of ourselves, that's when we're like, oh no, uncomfortable. Oh, absolutely not. Let's put that away. Let's lock that away. Yeah, let's put that back in the dark place within myself. Lovely. Now let's move on. So then you haven't faced anything. You haven't healed anything. So you're just carrying that around with you. And every part of yourself that you avoid in that way, it all has an expression in some form. So there's an action or behavior that will always come about because of that part that you don't face. And this is why knowing yourself, this is why connecting to your spirit and to who you are and your spiritual self, and connecting back to nature, connecting with some time for yourself away from other people, so you're not being influenced and it's just you, your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings. It's an awareness, it's building a sort of vocabulary with yourself, a language that tells you who you are. That's what you need to know. That's the important parts of yourself. And it's in those parts that you can heal the most. And I hope that makes sense. I hope that I described that in a way that maybe makes you think about a spiritual connection, a spiritual self, a connection to yourself in a different way that might help you just to if it's terminology that is stopping you, if there's a word that someone is saying and you feel yourself tensing and you're feeling uncomfortable about something, find a different word. Find something else that makes you feel less tense, less judged, whatever it may be for you. Find something that feels aligned in a way where you're not running, where you're not avoiding. Because if I said to you, okay, well, I'm going to work with you and we're going to build a spiritual practice. Well, that might make you want to run away and hide, because maybe it's scary to you because you don't know what that means. You don't know what that's going to entail. You don't want to connect spiritually because you're thinking it's something else instead of a connection with yourself. But if I turned around and said, great, let's work together. I'm going to help you to know yourself, because to know yourself means that you'll understand the essence of who you are and the core of who you are. Well, hell yeah. Yeah, I want that. And by knowing that, you'll be able to heal. You'll be able to understand yourself at a deeper level than you've ever been able to understand yourself before. You'll be able to understand the behaviors and patterns in your life by knowing yourself. As simple as looking inwards. Well, that sounds entirely different, doesn't it? Like, entirely different. And yet they're the same thing. When you are a spiritual person, you are looking at yourself in a way that is almost detached. You're not attaching to everyone else's behaviors and patterns and words. You're saying, I understand and I see all these things that you're saying. I'm hearing you, but they're not affecting me as much as maybe someone's ranting and raving at you and they're trying to provoke you. But you know yourself so well now that you can turn around and you can say, okay, I see that this behavior and these words are just a manifestation of your own hurts, your own wounds, your own traumas, and that is not actually anything to do with me. That is a powerful place to be. That is connecting spiritually. That is a deeper understanding of yourself, of others, of the world. You can interact in a completely different way then, because you see everything differently. And that is fucking powerful. And yes, obviously you're human and you will fall out of these things, and you will have somebody say something to you and you're not in a great space that day, and yes, you get triggered, and yes, you rant and you rave and you end up in an argument. That's okay, you are human. But if you then go, oh, that was interesting how I reacted there, whether it's the moment after the event or the next day or even the next week, and you go, that's interesting how that happened the other day and how I reacted, because I wasn't feeling that way before. So obviously there was something in that moment that made me want to rant and rave and shout back at them. And then you can reflect. Then you can investigate. And when you know what it was in that moment that actually bothered you, you can choose differently the next time. That is healing, because you took time to know yourself, to connect with your spirit and your truth. That is the difference of true healing and healing in a way where you're just looking at the symptoms. You're just looking for a quick fix. And I'm not going to lie, when I started and I was on my spiritual journey, I didn't know any of this. I didn't know this was any like a thing. I didn't have a clue. And mine was all, I wasn't looking for a quick fix, but I was looking for a connection to spirit, and I was looking for all information, everything I could grab and grasp to be able to get that without really putting any work into any deeper layers. But it's what I needed at the time, and it was everything I needed at the time to be able to start my journey. So this is why you can't beat yourself up either. Like, just honor wherever you are. If you have been the person that is just always looking for more, and going more and more spiritual and wanting to connect to higher realms, or you're wanting to do more psychic work or mediumship or whatever it may be for you, but you haven't, and you're sitting here going, well, I haven't looked at anything. I haven't done any of those sort of things. There's nothing wrong with that either. It's just where you are on your journey. I have been you. I have been that person. But there will come a point though where you feel like you're never progressing. You're not getting what you're wanting. You're not maybe connecting spiritually, like if it's with loved ones, maybe you're not connecting in the way that you want to. You're not getting the evidence that you want to bring through for people that you may be reading for, or maybe you are a healer and you're not getting the results that you wanted or were expecting because you haven't put your own work in to be able to help others. Because the world is a reflection of our inner world. And you will find, especially if you're a healer, you will find that you bring people in to work with you who are maybe similar to you, have similar stories, or that you too need to heal. That is another thing I've seen before, where you kind of know you're supposed to be healing something, then all of a sudden you're working with people that seem to have a similar thing that you're already going through or you've been avoiding, and it's like the universe going, look, you're not listening, so we're going to make you help other people with the same issue, and maybe you will start listening to your own advice. Because sometimes we know the answers, sometimes we know how to help other people, but we don't take our own advice, we don't do what we say sometimes. And again, human, and that's the ego mind, because it's scared and it doesn't know what's going on the other side. It only knows what it knows. So something that is new and different is scary. So the fear factor comes in, and then no, we stay in our comfort zone. We stay where we are. We stay where we feel comfortable and we know is safe, even though you may be suffering, because that's just how the mind works. So that is my musings for this week. Let me know if you have found this helpful, if there's anything that you've taken away, or anything that you're like, yeah, do you know what? I've been doing the same, or yeah, I'm at the point now where I am digging deeper. And well done to you if you have actually put work in, no matter how, even if it's just like the first day today and you've gone, do you know what? I am reflecting, I am trying to understand more, and I am trying to know myself. Well bloody done you. You are amazing for even trying, because honestly, sometimes just trying is really fucking hard work without actually putting the deep effort in. Just showing up sometimes is the hardest bloody thing. So well done you for trying. So I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you again for the next episode.